Mix is presented by Gumatasa Coffee House, specializing in fresh local favorites. Located across Payless in Manila. Find them on Facebook.
Hawfade Guam, welcome to another episode of In the Mix. I'm Jonah Charfris. Thanks so much for tuning in. We have a great show lined up for you this evening. Coming up, former Guam resident David Cruz, who's part of Bravo's Millionaire Matchmaker, was on island, and he shares with us some dating tips for those of you looking for love. A little bit later, we give you the details to Skip's annual Dance for a Cause event, with a portion of the proceeds to benefit the Edward M. Calvo Cancer Foundation. We'll close out the show tonight with the music of Ryan Imamura. But first things first, let me introduce you to my friends Chris and Andy, who are waking you up every morning from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. Here's Mar.
Hi. Always open the door for the good lady. Oh, Kathy!
Oh, Kathy McPhee! Yeah, all right, I got you.
Mornings will never be the same on Guam's favorite I94 with the Chris and Andy Show, or the Andy and Chris Show, depending on who you ask.
It's the Andy and Chris Show, clearly. Alphabetically speaking and kind of high-powered humor awesomeness, it's Andy and Chris.
Yeah.
You're wasting my grapes!
My passion, my driving force is having someone that I love in the morning. I mean, I'm so blessed. Every morning I get to go on the air with my favorite DJ. And, you know, I've been an Andy Wheeler fan since he had a mullet. And so that, for me, that's my passion, my driving force is I know Andy's bringing his A game every morning. So that only makes me step it up more. I mean, I got my clipboard and write down my one-liners. And, you know, the driving force is trying to keep up with this guy. Because, you know, as far as radio people are concerned, it's like Andy Wheeler is up there.
It's a refreshing mix of two veteran radio performers with a combined 30 years of broadcasting experience. To say Andy Wheeler and Chris Barnett kind of know what they're doing would be an understatement.
I started in print journalism. I made the jump to TV news reporting, and that didn't really work out, so then I ended up on the radio. Radio's where you go when you can't do TV. So that's my background. Yeah. And my background is with 63 KUM TV 8.
Record that.
It's the all-new Guam's favorite, the Chris and Andy Show.
I go poo-poo.
You should keep that to yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
I started when I was going to UOG. I met some people that were into the communications program and hanging out in the student center. They had that little radio station there that just broadcasts in the one building, KUOG. And hanging out with those guys, they're like, hey, why don't you come in and just kind of, you know, maybe do a show, play some music? So, all right, okay. I have nothing to do. I had a little break between classes. And instead of studying, of course, I was hanging out in the student center with random people. So started doing it then at KUOG, and right when I did it, I was like, this is what I want to do with my life. And so since then, stuck with it, and been doing radio now professionally for about 16 years.
Listen in to hear two of Guam's favorite personalities dish on everything from local to national news, topics, and trends.
I love being on the air with Chris again because we're so different kind of in a lot of ways, but we're able to kind of bring together different aspects, and we kind of have the same sense of humor as well. You know, Chris with the family, he's got 18 kids, a few I don't know, and then me being the bachelor, you know, we bring a different, we have a different perspective on things, so I think that makes the show really interesting.
I think people are going to expect friendly competition. I mean, you know, Andy and I we're like besties, we're like BFFs for life. But we're real competitive, you know. If Andy's gonna say something funny, I want to try and top it. Or if I say something funny, he's always gonna try and outdo me, you know. And that's what really makes our friendship great. Is that I feel we're both bringing a lot to the table. I mean, I'm bringing breakfast, he's bringing jokes. So we kind of got it all covered. It's something for everybody. I think it's a good mix of like intelligence and humor and, you know, dashing, handsome, good looks. It's almost too much for the radio.
What is to be said about Chris?
Where to begin, and what is actually worthy to air on TV, and I won't get fined or fired by Chris. I haven't been suspended in a few weeks. But Chris, he's a family guy, you know, he's got the kids, and he's got such a love for Guam and its people and everything, and it really comes through on the air because we talk about a lot of local stuff. We talk about, you know, everything that's happening in the world, but we put our own little spin on it. So Chris is just he's a family guy, a comedic genius, and it's always fun working with him.
And what about Andy?
A lot of people don't know the kind of man that Andy Wheeler is, you know, just based on the charity work that he does. I mean, that alone, he's just worthy of so many accolades, and he's just a real tremendous individual. And when you talk about Andy Wheeler, really, you're talking about freedom and the American way of life, and that's why I'm proud to stand beside him.
The Chris and Andy Show is truly interactive on all your social media platforms and creates new nostalgia every day. Plus, this is Guam's only morning radio show, kicking it into overtime with an extra bonus hour of content from 10 to 11 a.m. The duo will also kick off a fun lineup of radio. From 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., enjoy weekday lunch specials, a 2-hour commercial-free musical ride of your favorite genres to satisfy all palates, from 80s to alternative to 90s boy bands to Fiesta Fridays. Then in the afternoon, it's the V Squad.
We like to call them the up-and-comers, the next generation. Vic and Vanessa, the V Squad, we call them. They do the afternoon show, 2 to 6. So you got to tune in. They have that youthful energy. They're up with everything that's going on in the world that Chris and I are a little bit too old for.
And taking you into the evening.
And then 6 p.m. we've got the Darkness After Dark. It's he plays some good, the current hip hop, the R&B stuff. So we've got a stacked lineup on I94.
It's y'all know Guam's favorite, Chris and Andy, Sudden Death Overtime. Let's do a little Guam Live music, shall we?
Let's do it.
I think you got to tune in every morning from 6 to 11 because, first of all, we're the longest show on the radio. Traditionally, people go 4 hours. We're going 5 hours. We train for this. We try and just jam-pack everything from local news. We're always talking about what's on KUAM News. Or we're talking about what's on KUAM TV 8, TV 11. We're talking about the music. We're talking about the artists. And we're talking about it in a way that only Chris and Andy can.
Tune in. Like I said, Chris and I, we have so much fun doing the show together, and it really comes out, and we have fun, so we hope the listeners have fun. Bye, thanks. Okay, bye.
Don't go anywhere because when we return, we introduce you to David Cruz. You're watching In the Mix.